Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Premarket Rundown for March 21st, 2023. This being our daily session where we go over all the important news, notes, information, updates, and most importantly, the mindset to being consistently profitable here in these even extra crazier markets than what they've normally been. I'm your host, Adam Holland, stock options expert market strategist, and we're here to dive into what we've got going on today. I'm going to head over to Instagram real quick and just let everybody know that we are live. Hello, Coco. Great morning to you. Happy Tuesday morning, Alicia. Great morning to you as well. Hope you guys had a nice night's sleep. I had a late night myself. It's a very, very busy week we got going on with the conference at the end of this week. Very, very excited for that, but also I'm going to be literally out of my mind busy for all of this week. But can I be more excited and honestly just ready to get to it? Right now, I'm just posting this link on my story to make sure everybody can make their way over here. All right, share, copy link, and of course, we have plenty of news coming in overnight, just like we have literally every single morning for the past 2 weeks. Yes, Tristan, good morning. Andre, good morning. Paul, good morning. Hope you guys all had an amazing Monday night. What did I want to do again? Oh, yes. I had a pretty nice surprise this morning myself. I was able to wake up to a nice, freshly baked chocolate croissant from my girlfriend, which was absolutely divine. I don't even know where she got those things from, but man, was it good. All right, just throwing this up on the story. We're live now. Link below for today's pre-market rundown. Awesome. And we'll throw the link in. Paste. Cool. Boom. Now we're ready to get into it. All right. Camera, get on the same level as me. I need you on the same. There we go. There we go. Come correct. Need you on the same level as me. Let's get to this news that we got going on this morning. As always, whether you're watching live or via replay, make sure you drop those ones in the chat, signifying your intention to get 1% better by the end of this session. That's what you want to do. Every experience in life, you want to leave that experience 1% better. If you could do that, then you were successful, right, in that experience. That's what we're looking to do. So let's do it. So this morning, insurance assurance is our top headline as we explore the Wall Street breakfast. Officials at the U.S. Treasury Department are reportedly studying ways to guarantee all bank deposits if tremors in the banking system spiral into a full-blown financial crisis. Authorities don't yet see full FDIC coverage as necessary, but they are exploring a legal framework using emergency powers that wouldn't require passage through a deeply divided Congress. The fear is that if another regional lender fails, there will be a run on deposits at smaller banks, knocking the industry over and sending billions of dollars to their bigger competitors. Something we talked about last week, right? Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan Chase, all taking advantage of, kind of what's going on now by scooping up these smaller regional banks and really turning this into an antitrust issue. Because when you have, but that's the whole point, is that you're supposed to have small regional banks and then large banks, and there's money kind of distributed everywhere. But if you have money consolidated within only a few banks, you have antitrust issues, right? And at that point, also, those banks can literally do whatever they want because they control everything. And another nice lesson through all this is, if you want to engage in some type of career that is absolutely no accountability or real responsibility when it comes to maintaining rules, be a banker, right? Because you can literally, you guys have probably seen the meme that's going around, and it's like, the angry flower, and it's like banks when a single mom with like 5 kids is overdrawn her account by $10. And then it's just like, it's like the flower looking all shy and bashful, and it's banks when they've, lost billions of dollars, completely mismanaging money. So, I mean, it's true. It's like, it's so crazy, but they have absolutely like no recompense for any of their actions. And, the old adage goes, you give a man a gun, he'll rob a bank. You give a man a bank, he'll rob the world. And it's so true. It's like, if you run a bank, you can rob so many people and just still continue to function, right? Still continue to go about your day. But in terms of backdrop here, the FDIC has already backstopped the uninsured client deposits of Silicon Valley Bank, its signature bank, while crypto-focused Silvergate, ticker SI, was left to liquidate, and Credit Suisse was rescued by Swiss authorities and UBS. Some support is building for a motion to guarantee all bank deposits as a fifth bank, First Republic, ticker FRC, teeters on the brink of insolvency. Why do these all sound the same? Or First Republic was already one of them. Okay, cool. Yeah, I was about to say that sounds awfully similar to one of the ones that's already been. It was, I guess, teetering on the brink of insolvency. So shares of the lender tumbled 47% on Monday after a series of downgrades by S&P, but recovered as much as 21% in pre-market trading as investors swallowed an aid proposal led by JP Morgan CEO Jamie Dimon. Prior reports also suggested it was exploring a sale. So, where things stand, some Republican lawmakers, like Republican Patrick McHenry, Republican for North Carolina, chairman of the House of Financial Services Committee, are weighing changes to the current 250K FDIC insurance cap, as well as Democratic ranking member Maxine Waters. Others are more against a universal guarantee on all bank deposits, like the conservative House Freedom Caucus, which feels that the dangerous precedent that simply encourages future irresponsible behavior would be paid for by those not involved who followed the rules. Very true. It comes after the mid-sized Bank Coalition of America penned a letter to U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen to extend FDIC insurance on all deposits to restore confidence among depositors before another bank falls. Man, I mean, again, guys, just further underscores the fact that just because somebody has a lot of money or they have a title or they're a certain race does not mean they know what the heck is going on here in terms of, what they need to be doing. Like these banks have people that, went to Harvard, went to Yale, went to Princeton, and they are still mismanaging money and causing people tons of misfortune, right? No race qualifies you, no certain education qualifies you. The market is a completely different beast that if you don't, humble yourself and just resign to eternally being a student, you'll get crushed, right? And even these people, they have the algos, they have the funding, they have the backing, they have the access, they have the connections, and these banks are still tanking, right? They're still making horrible decisions that's putting the lives of tons of people at risk by playing around with their deposits. So again, whether it's Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen or one of the heads of these banks or something like that, just because these people, oh, I'm in finance and I work at this and that means absolutely nothing, right? That means absolutely nothing. You got to make sure that whoever you're playing around with, has some type of idea of what's going on, that they can explain it to you. Otherwise you just cannot trust people out here, because it's absolutely crazy that one after the next, these banks are toppling like this. And now, we're turning to the U.S. Treasury to somehow, backstop even, I guess, deposits, that are larger than 250K. So now, and it's just, I don't even know how they plan to do so with the 250K. So to be honest, this all kind of falls on to what we hear from Powell, right? I feel like Powell and Yellen have been careful to be quiet for the most part and just say what's necessary to be said. I think Powell will have a lot to say tomorrow, and that's really when we get, kind of a lot of information. Like I said, I don't envy Powell. He is darned if you do, darned if you don't in this situation, because if you turn on the money printer again, then inflation will just run back up to dangerous levels, and then people can't afford to live. But if you do turn the money, so that's what happens if you do turn it on, right? If you don't turn it back on, then you could have this kind of just loss of faith in the financial system, where things collapse as well, right? There's bank runs, and that just leads to overall fear, where people won't put their money in banks, and the economy comes to a standstill. And currency is called currency for a reason. It has to stay current. So he like has no right move. So again, I like, if there's one person that I don't envy, it's the president of the United States or the leader of any major nation. But the second, and probably even worse at this point, would be the leader of the central bank, because it's just, man, there's no space left between the rock and the hard place that these people are caught. So in terms of the commentary here, everywhere you look, the government is handing out money to the banks, writes contributor Mark Gray. In fact, U.S. banks have borrowed a combined $164.8 billion from the two backstop facilities provided by the Fed, eclipsing the money that was borrowed during the 2008-2009 financial crisis. And you guys probably saw that in headlines over the weekend. If you didn't, I want to say that again. In fact, U.S. banks have borrowed a combined basically $165 billion from the two backstop facilities provided by the Fed, eclipsing the money that was borrowed during the 2008-2009 financial crisis. That's where we're at, right? So again, when I say every trade that we are making now is risky, any move that you are making in markets is risky. That is why we are right under the same exact circumstances that we learn about in history, right? Or that, are widely broadcasted or referenced. It's not an easy time to be doing things. So please make sure that your expectations are tempered. See profit, take profit, keep it moving, right? If you're doing anything, you need to be moving, with you need to be moving with expedience, but also with conviction, right? If you get the moment you hit 15, 20%, 25% profit, take it, right? Take it. Play light, do a couple plays, then be gone. Because, again, at this point, like, yes, there are some things that will make for a great trade and things will run and things like that. But there's so much instability and so much just lack of confidence right now that you're not going to see a lot of big money making a lot of different moves because they have no clarity, right? Big money isn't like the average person, right? They're going to sit there and wait for clarity before they make any type of move. The average person is going to sit around and theorize on all these different things. And when you don't have as much volume going on, you can get this volatility where you're just all over the place, right? And the charts start to make less sense. And it's because the battle going on doesn't make sense, right? Imagine there's a bunch of people that are tripping on LSD. They're fighting a battle, right? You learn about that with the Vikings. I don't know if anybody here watches Vikings or the TV show Vikings or anything like that, but Vikings used to take, mushrooms, magic mushrooms before they went out to battle, and they would take mushrooms all the time. That would be pretty confusing to watch a battle where everybody there is on hallucinogens, right? It's kind of hard to follow. You don't know exactly what's going on. Who is winning? I don't know. This guy's like sitting there collapsed on the ground and no one even struck him with a weapon, right? He's just hallucinating. That's kind of like what's going on, right? When you have issues like this that happen once every 10 years, once every 15 years, and you look at markets and you look at charts and they give you that, information on kind of who's winning that battle, who's losing that battle. Sometimes the info is skewed because at this point, people are just so confused. There is no, there's no conviction in terms of the battle that is going on. So just important to keep that in mind, and every single day, keep your expectations tempered so that you don't get, kind of frustrated after a week or 2 weeks of kind of sitting tight and playing light. And then, you're sitting here trying to force things and stuff goes against you, right? If you go out sailing in the middle of a storm and you get shipwrecked, you can't really be mad, right? You went out during the storm. So if you do go out during a storm, make sure that you are taking the proper precautions, right? And that you're not out here trying to take a speedboat through a hurricane because it's not going to work out. In terms of robo-taxi expansion, General Motors, ticker GM, their Cruise is making headway in the self-driving race after applying for permission to test its autonomous vehicles across all of California. It was only a year ago that Cruise launched the first commercial driverless ride-hail service in a major U.S. city after inking the appropriate permits in San Francisco. To date, Cruise has logged more than 1 million driverless miles, 833,000 trips across the Golden Gate Bridge, and 994 road trips in other testing areas like Phoenix and Austin. In terms of its fleet, Cruise currently has 300 self-driving vehicles in service, with GM shelling out around $2 billion a year to grow its autonomous subsidiary as part of CEO Mary Barra's plan to double the automaker's revenue by 2030. So, you're having kind of the more stalwart vehicle companies, combustion engine companies, really encroach upon the supremacy of EV maker Tesla, but also of their self-driving capabilities. GM, this isn't the first time they've made headlines, and they might end up being the premier, self-driving technology. But there are a lot of different companies that are doing this. So we'll see, right, what ends up happening. I gotta visit California and see. Well, I actually just booked a trip to visit California for a wedding in like June. But yeah, I gotta go and see what's good with all these driverless cars. We don't see that in Maryland, so I'd be anxious to see what's going on. I don't know if I ride in one yet. We got to see. But to be honest, the way some of these Uber drivers drive, you might be better off with a robo taxi. In terms of fresh supply here, getting into like less lighthearted news, Russia has surpassed Saudi Arabia to become China's top oil producer, according to government customs data, with imports rising 23.8% to 1.94 million barrels per day in the first 2 months of 2023. That may help shed some light on Xi Jinping's visit to Moscow this week, though it also reflects the economics of cheaper Russian crude, with Western sanctions leading to steep discounts on Urals grade cargoes. General Chinese Russian trade has also soared since the invasion of Ukraine as the two countries build on a no limits partnership proclaimed at the 2022 Beijing Olympics. Again, things you don't like to hear for 500, Alex. Ahead of Xi's visit, Vladimir Putin expressed a willingness to discuss China's peace plan for ending the war in Ukraine. Though U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said that the world should not be fooled by the blueprint, which would freeze in place territory seized by Russian forces. Now, more to come. Amazon, ticker AMZN, is eliminating another 9,000 positions in the coming weeks, marking the latest round of job cuts that adds to the 18,000 layoffs announced in January. The new cuts are mainly focused in AWS, advertising, Twitch, and people experience and technology solutions divisions. Given the uncertain economy in which we reside and the uncertainty that exists in the near future, we have chosen to be more streamlined in our costs and headcount, CEO Andy Jassy declared, explaining why he didn't announce both batches of layoffs at the same time. Amazon's total headcount more than doubled from 2019 to 2021, peaking at over 1.6 million. As of the close of 2022, total headcount had dipped to about 1.54 million. There's no reason for these companies to have all these employees anyways. This is what happens when you have access to unrestricted capital and it costs nothing to borrow. You have all these people, these big tech people that give jobs to their friends and give jobs to people, and all they do is sit around in awesome offices and play games and have free snacks. And then when the rubber meets the road, they have to fire them. Don't have your business set up like that anyways. Like, you wonder why you struggle. Sometimes big tech struggles with profitability. Stop paying people to work at amusement parks, right? And pay them to actually get work done. And it sucks, right? I feel bad for the people. Like, I know, especially with Amazon, I know a number of people that work at Amazon, fingers crossed, they're all good, they're all okay. But it's just like, this was desperately needed for these companies, because there's just no reason why they have all these employees to be sitting around doing absolutely nothing. I'm sure you guys have seen the headlines, right? Throw a 5 in the chat if you saw some type of headline about different stuff that these big tech companies had going on. I mean, Google had like free lunch every day for everybody, and they had snacks, they had game rooms. Like, go to work, do your work, and go home, right? This isn't Great Wolf Lodge, or where you're running around and you're trying to do all this. Literally, go to work, do your work, and go back home, and stop spending all this money on stupid stuff. But it's just, again, we're seeing a continuation of a trend that's happening in that realm of employment, right? Throw a 7 in the chat for the big 7. Now it's the big 8, right? At this point, it's officially the big 8, because we have the bank collapses globally that are influencing things. So I guess you could throw an 8 in the chat for the big 8. But one of those 8 factors being employment. It's inflation, employment, COVID and all of its variants, interest rates, the death of globalization, the rise of protectionism. And then what else? We got the war in Ukraine, right? We've got a number of different things, but this newest one, is this issue with banks and this bank run that's been going on. But the newest factor being, not the newest factor, but an ongoing factor being employment. Employment is one that has made its way back into the spotlight. If you remember, at the end of last year, employment had kind of taken a back seat. Employment news wasn't super, super important. It was kind of one of the least mentioned, or the least cared about in terms of markets, least cared about the big 7. And now it's right back to the forefront, as we have all these companies laying off thousands of people literally every other week. Like, that's 9,000 people with families and houses and mortgages and all that stuff. So it just further underscores that ability to make sure that you can make your money work for you, right? I understand markets are tough now. There's still, abilities to go and take advantage of during this time. You look at coin on Friday, right? Beautiful beautiful money on coin there. You can still make nice quick trades in the morning and then call it a day and head home. But it just further underscores that fact that you never know when your life might shift, right? Your employment might shift. There might be a major shift. You need to make sure you've got, more than one trick as a pony out here in this world. You can't be a one trick pony. You have to have, kind of multiple avenues, multiple tools, multiple revenue rivers at your disposal. And that's something that we'll be talking about this week at the conference as well. So I'm super, super excited for that. I don't even think you guys understand like the wealth of information you're going to go home with, as well as what is going to be applied in the room. So I'm over the moon, excited for that. I pushed to be speaking multiple times because I feel like there's a lot of stuff outside of the context of markets that I also want everyone there to know as well. I was able to do that. So I've got my work cut out for me. I'll see how active I am, kind of trading the next 2 days because it's going to be a lot, and I have a lot to like continue to prepare for. There's a lot that goes into these, so I might not be too active, but overall it will come at the sacrifice of me over delivering this weekend for those that made the amazing choice to be in the room. In terms of today's markets in Asia, we're looking mostly green across the board. So in Asia, Japan closed, Hong Kong we're at 1.4%, China we're at 0.6%, India up 0.8%, the FTSE in London at 1.4%, Europe strong today, Paris up 1.7%, Frankfurt up 1.6%, the Dow up 0.6%, S&P up 0.5%, even more now. It looks like NASDAQ up 0.2%, crude oil up 1.1%, gold down 0.5%, Bitcoin down 0.9% to $28,038. The FOMC meeting begins today, so we don't get any data or any notes from that meeting or Powell speaking. We get that all tomorrow, right? So again, in the days leading up to it, you can get chop. That's important to be aware of. You can get chop in the days leading up to the FOMC meeting. So we can see that again today because that's really what the anticipation builds towards, especially this week. And we could have a very, very crazy day tomorrow as well. And we'll wrap up here with our rapid fire bullet point rundown. So survey results, 70% of WSB subscribers see 25 basis point rate hike tomorrow. Who cares, man? That's what's priced in. Of course, they're all going to see that. Nari Simon takes over as CEO of Starbucks, ticker SBUX, ahead of schedule. I guess goodbye to Howard Schultz, the GOAT, right, of Starbucks. Amazing CEO that they continue to bring back because they can't find a CEO to fill his shoes. Virgin Orbit, ticker VORB, reportedly drawing up plans in case of insolvency. Oh, that ain't fun. Sounds like Virgin Orbit is crashing back down to earth. Wrong size. Analysts pan Foot Locker's aggressive earnings guidance. Moderna, ticker mRNA, eyes $130 price tag for COVID vaccine in U.S. And then Canadian cannabis players like Aurora hit 52-week lows. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis calls for ban on CBDCs. Iron ore plunges on China warning. Tangshan production controls. Warner Bros. Ticker WBD Shazam sequel disappoints with $30.5 million opening. That movie looked like it was going to suck, and I'm a big superhero movie fan. I don't know if anybody else, right, is a big superhero movie fan, but that Shazam movie just looks so corny. Intel, ticker INTC, and AMD stand out as chip expectations remain mild. Then Ally Financial gains amid vague Buffett takeover speculation. That might be something to look into. So Ally Financial rose 8.4% amid vague takeover speculation that Warren Buffett would make a logical buyer. So that just came out of nowhere. Like, who speculated this? Ally could be a potential target for billionaire Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway. Gordon Haskett said in passing in a note on Monday after a report that Buffett could come to the rescue in the current regional banking crisis. The analyst comments come after Bloomberg reported on Saturday that Buffett had been in contact with senior officials in the Biden administration in recent days regarding the regional banking crisis. The talks concern Buffett potentially investing in the U.S. regional banking sector, though the billionaire has also given some of his views about the current tumult in the sector. Gordon Haskett speculated that if Buffett were to do a deal in the banking sector, he would likely stick to a name that he already owns. Berkshire Hathaway owned 29.8 million shares or a 9.9% stake in Ally Financial as of the end of December and is the second largest holder. So this is just complete speculation. That is funny, though. I mean, hey, when you're the Oracle of Omaha, your name holds weight. A random guy not even connected to Buffett literally said, hey, Buffett would probably invest in this, and stock is up 8%, right? Pre-market. Crazy stuff. But let's see, that's actually the last of our headlines for the rapid fire bullet point rundown. So as always, thank you for tuning in, investing in yourself. That's always going to net the biggest return. If you got anything positive from this session, make sure you just show love to the account, right? Show love on Instagram, show love on YouTube, all that great stuff. Make sure you're checking out all those reels over there on Instagram. I talked about parallel channels last week. That came in handy yesterday, right? Seeing that parallel channel that we had in the middle of the day, that allowed me to go and make sure I'm watching to position in puts when we lost that parallel channel. We did lose the parallel channel, enter puts, take profit, right? At the former downtrend resistance turn support. And it was a perfect play, right? Beautifully executed play for 40% profits. If you don't understand what I just said, right, then you need to make sure that you're really watching and internalizing what I'm talking about in these little tidbits of information, right? Because it's great information. And if you learn it and you start to apply it, you can do it immediately, right? We're talking about stuff that you can take and apply to markets immediately. So watch them a few times, right? Watch them a few times. Ask questions in the comments if you have questions. They can be addressed. But overall, right, they're not just little cool animated nuggets. They actually provide great insight, right, if you want to use them. So make sure that you're using them, right, that you're soaking up all the different modes and means of education, that I'm tossing out there, so you can integrate it into your trading regimen, right, and push from there. But overall, like I said, busy day for me. I gotta go to the tailor. I gotta do a whole bunch of different stuff. So I'll see how active I end up being. Might not end up being very active for these next 2 days, but it is what it is. It happens. After that, I promise my schedule clears up, and I'm so happy for that. Everybody's been bearing with me through a crazy January, February, March. This year has been wild. A lot of good things, a lot of bad things, but you continue to push, right? Put one foot in front of the other and continue to execute and control what you can control. That's what it's always about. So I appreciate all you guys, right? Have a great rest of the day. I'll see you back here tomorrow morning. I still plan on doing the PMR, so I'll see you back here tomorrow morning for our next pre-market rundown. Have a good one.